Hey everyone, my name is Tim Fiola. I'm a senior sales engineer here at Network to Code. Today's video is going to be part 2 in a 2-part series on using Nautobot's API calls. This video specifically is going to focus on making post calls with Nautobot's RESTful APIs. In case you didn't catch the part 1 video in this series, I do recommend you go back and watch that first because this video will build upon the concepts we covered in part 1. All right, we're going to pivot here a bit, and now we're going to talk about adding a device in Nautobot programmatically. And this is done with a slightly different API call. Instead of a get, we're going to use a post. Let's expand this because this is going to get really cool here. I can't wait to show you this. All right, let's take a look at this first of all. We see that the URL is the same, but we have a slightly different way of going about this now because we're trying to add information to Nautobot. Let's look at how that's done. First of all, when you're creating a new object, you have certain parameters that are required. You can see the required parameters down here under the request body. There's this example value, which just gives you an example call with example data. But let's look at the schema. And if we look at the schema, we see that a few of these attributes here have stars, red stars by them. That means these are required parameters in the call. Let's go ahead and craft the call right now. We are going to add a request in Nautobot, and to save time, we're just going to go ahead and grab this, and we're going to put this over in our new call, and we're going to call this add device. We'll paste in our URL. We'll also make sure our authorization is good. We're inheriting from parents. And now we're going to go ahead and, for this, create a body. This body is going to have the information that Nautobot needs to add the device. We're going to select raw. We're going to then craft the JSON payload that's going to go with our request. Looking back here, we see a few required parameters. First of all, we're just going to give this device a name, and we're going to say it's ATL01 leaf, let's just say leaf 10. Then let's look at the next required parameter. Device type is the required parameter here. So let's add that here. Device underscore type. Now, how do we specify the device type? This is how. Let's go to Nautobot. We're going to select just a random device to work from. I'm going to go to this device, and I'm just going to grab this device type here. It's a Cisco C9300. I'm going to go to that device type in Nautobot, the home page. And under the Advanced tab, there's this Object Details panel, and within that is what we call the UUID. I'm going to copy that. This is the unique identifier for this device type. I'm going to grab that and put this into our request. Okay, let's grab the next required parameter here. It's going to be status. Excuse me, we're going to do role next. So we'll grab the next parameter, that's role. And again, we're going to use the UUID here. This time we're going to go to organization, and we're just going to go right to roles. We are going to select a role here. Let's just grab the leaf role right here. And again, we're going to jump into this, go to the Advanced tab once again, grab the UUID, which is this. Going to bring this back, paste it into here in quotes, comma. Now, we're using the UUIDs so far, but oftentimes those are hard to understand because they're not human friendly. There's another way to specify parameters, and I'm going to show you how right now. Let's look at the next required parameter here. and that is location. We're going to specify this a slightly different way. We're going to use a more human-friendly way to specify location. Instead of using the UUID, we're going to specify it by the name. And the name of the location we're going to use is going to be ATL01. Where did I get this? I got this from Nautobot here. If I switch back to our site here, let's just look at ATL01, just to show you that this is already created in Nautobot. Great. So we're just going to specify this by a human-friendly name. So we have specified this now. Great. Then we're going to do our last required parameter, which should be status. And we're going to specify status the same way. We're going to use it in the human readable way. So I'm going to say status, open our braces here, and we're going to say the name of the status we want to specify. And we will, again, go to organization, and we'll go to statuses, and we'll select a status here. This status must already be created. We're going to look for, is there a planned one? Yeah, we're going to look for planned, P-L-A-N-N-E-D. So let's do this. Capital P-L-A-N-N-E-D. Okay, we've crafted the body of our request now. This payload is going to specify to Nautobot at least the required parameters. You could add more parameters if you want to in the request. If we again go back to our documentation, you can specify all these other parameters if you want to, but you don't have to. You only are required to specify the ones that have the star. And I also specified the name of the device here because it doesn't make sense to create a device without the name. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. Check our authorization before we go. There's our token. Great. Our body's right here. Let's run it. But before we do add this, we need to make one important change. Remember, we are working here with a post because we want to add this device to Nautobot. So I need to change this request type from a GET to a POST. And also I just noticed this, I didn't put my slash over here. This is very important. You need to add this or else you might get unexpected results. So we have our slash there now. We've changed it to a POST. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, here we go. We got some results back and it worked. So this is again, we look at our status here, 201 created. So a new resource was successfully created. This is Postman telling us this. And here are the different device attributes. There's the object type, display, that's the device name, and so on and so forth with some other attributes down here. Let's take a look at this device in Nautobot. So let's search for the device. Whoops, sorry. Oh, that was my mistake. I accidentally spelled the name wrong. It's ATL01 Leaf 10. Let's go ahead and check that. ATL Leaf 10. Great. So once I fixed my spelling mistake, we see the device right here. Let's go ahead and explore this. This is located in the ATL01 site. I'm going to go to the Advanced tab and take a look at this. Under the Data Provenance panel here, we can see that this was created just now at June 4th, 2025 at 9:49 p.m. I think that's GMT. But it was created just today. So this was an example of us creating a device in Nautobot using the API calls. A few more things I want to show you before I wrap this up. First of all, since we are using Postman, there are some tools in Postman that can make our Python life a bit easier for us. In Postman, if you go over to this icon over here, this code icon, you can click on it and you will be able to specify what kind of language you want to use this RESTful call within. In this case, I'm using Python, and I'm selecting the requests module to be used for this. So this is my Python code. This is a great way to craft your API calls in Postman and then use this feature over here to copy the code and work that into a larger script you may be using if you'd like to. In this demo today, we covered how to create a token, how to use that token in Postman to bring your authentication into Postman so you can make these remote calls to Nautobot. And then we learned how to look at the API documentation in Nautobot, how to apply a GET call to retrieve information from Nautobot. In our case, it was a list of all the devices in Nautobot. And to use a POST call to create a new device in Nautobot. I hope this was helpful. Thank you and have a great day.